Hello, I guess I'm just really in the mood to film today because this is the second video I have filmed today. Just had a little t-shirt change. I'm not sure if this colour suits me. I filmed this simple, everyday, no foundation makeup look before, so that will already be up if you want to see that. But now I thought I would just have a little book chat with you. I'm making an effort to read more. I read a lot, I spend a lot of time reading, but I find I'm a very slow reader. It takes me a long time to read a book. So I read every day, but I think I've read 5 books so far this year, which isn't the best. I know that's more than some people will have read, but then there are some people that have read 40 books this year, which is absolutely insane. My aim for the year is 30, so I'm a little behind. Making an effort to read more. So I just thought I'd talk about books. I'm not sure how recently I did a book video, but I'll talk about the books I've read so far this year in kind of very brief detail because I think a lot of them have been mentioned. I've got some new books I've brought which I want to show you. We're just gonna go with it. I'll probably say more about the ones I've read more recently. Again, I'm really sorry, but I'm absolutely bloody terrible at planning these things, so I have not refreshed my memory on any of these books or anything, so I'm going from memory. I also rate my books in my bullet journal each month, so I will tell you the ratings I have given them. This one, definitely spoke about this one a lot. This is The Rules Do Not Apply by Ariel Levy. As I say every time, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I've spoken about this in a ton of videos, so I'm not going to say much. It's a memoir. It's beautifully written. I love her style of writing. She's a writer for The New Yorker, and it's about her life and kind of some heartbreaking things which happened to her. It's very sad, very beautiful, very relatable. Her tone of voice is just quite comforting, I think. I like how she writes, and I felt everything that happened in the book. It kind of, I guess, gives you the message that things happen and sometimes you can control yourself, but you can't control the things which happen. That is a really beautiful book, would strongly recommend. In my bullet journal, I rated that one 4 stars, and I actually think I would give it 5 now. It's one of those books that since I've read I've thought about a lot, so I'm going to do these two at the same time because they're from the same author. So I've got Little Fires Everywhere and Everything I Never Told You, both by Celeste Ng. Little Fires Everywhere is probably her more famous book. The book starts with a fire and everybody blames one girl from the family that lived in the house, and then it goes back and tells the story of how the fire happened. There's 2 families the book revolves around. The Richardsons, who are a wealthy, traditional family. There are quite a few children, quite a lot of them. And then there is Pearl and Mia, who are the new family who move in to an apartment which they rent. The mum's an artist and the dad's not in the picture. Not a traditional family at all. The children become friends. Well, the teenagers become friends. And it's about those 2 families and tells the story of how the fire came about. It's one of those books where there are lots of different stories that all kind of become one. Everything links together. Made me think a lot. There's a lot in there about adoption and ownership of children and those kind of things. There are a lot of debates through the book which you see all sides to, which you didn't expect to see all sides to. There are some parts I read where I thought I definitely agree with this character, and then the more I read the more I thought I don't know who I agree with now. Very well written, very interesting. A lot of twists in the story, really good, would recommend. Again, rated that 4 stars in my bullet journal. After I read that, because I enjoyed it so much, I brought this one. This is Everything I Never Told You. This one, I didn't love it as much. This story starts with a family finding out that their daughter has died. And then you find out about all of their relationships with her and her more private life and how it came to be. It's written very similarly. There's a lot of different perspectives. You learn different things about each character. It's written in the way where each character is a different person depending on who they're around, which are very much like real people. I really enjoyed that, although I did find the end a tad underwhelming, and I think you can definitely tell that it was written before Little Fires Everywhere. You can see how the writer's style has developed and improved. Crazy Rich Asians. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think this book is incredibly overrated. It's really long. It took me a really long time to read, and while I was reading it, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's that funny. I didn't really find it that funny. Didn't really feel that connected to any of the characters. I didn't get it. Like, I thought it was good, it was well written, I learned a lot about culture, I guess, but felt like I was missing something because I didn't think it was worth all the hype that I'd heard around it, and I won't read any of the others. There are footnotes at the bottom of each page to explain some things, which I found a bit frustrating when I was reading. Yeah, I just didn't connect with it, which is a shame because I heard so many good things and I wanted to, but I didn't. It wasn't awful, like I said, it's well written, the story's okay. You might really enjoy it. I'm the only person I know of that didn't. Next we have this one, Still Me by Jojo Moyes. Now, I read Me Before You and After You probably a couple of years ago now, but I took a really long time to pick this one up. So this one is Still Me. So I'm sure you've probably seen the film to Me Before You. The film is the story of a girl who becomes a carer for a man who is disabled, I think due to an accident, and they fall in love. The man later passes away. I'm not going to really go into much detail of how or what and all that stuff because you might want to watch or read it, but I think that's fairly known details. So this is the third book. So the second book happens after Will, the man, passes away, and it's about Louisa, the main character, and moving on with her life, kind of getting a new relationship and moving forward with things. So this third book, Louisa moves to New York. So it's in a different setting. She moves to New York to become an assistant for a family. I felt like this book kind of happened in parts. It seemed like that there were obvious divides in the book. She could have split it in half and it would have worked as two individual stories, really. She goes to work as an assistant for the family, gets to know them, and then things don't work out as planned, and then she has to recreate her life in New York again, all while there's trouble with her fairly new boyfriend Sam because she's moved away, so the strains on their relationship. I like Louisa's character. I like the style of writing in this book. It's very easy to read. There were some funny parts, very easy to follow. She's very relatable. Don't want to say too much, but like I said, a lot happens. I don't want to give anything away though. There were definitely some characters I felt differently reading it this time round. Sam's character, for instance, I liked him in the second book. I didn't like him at all in this book. I also not sure I loved the ending, but there we go. I did enjoy it. Another book which I don't have with me, because I lent to my sister, is This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. Now, I'm sure there's been a lot of hype around this, so you will probably know about this. It's the diaries of a junior doctor. It tells his stories about working as a doctor in the NHS. I flipping loved it. I thought it was a really wonderful book. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I thought it was incredible. Adam, very relatable. The way he writes, it could be like your best mate writing it. You just get it. But also it shows what it's really like to work in a hospital and kind of the things doctors do and how much they sacrifice to be in that line of work. It was incredibly sad in some places. I cried. So funny in some places. I laughed. It made me feel everything, and it felt very real, and everything about his writing was just wonderful. It was easy to follow. It was funny. It was clever. Really wonderful. I also like, obviously it's written in diary form, which meant it's quite an easy read. It's a page and entry, which makes it very easy to read. There are footnotes at the bottom to explain some things, but unlike in Crazy Rich Asians where the footnotes annoyed me, I actually loved the footnotes because They'd explain things, but then also some of them were just funny. It's very humorous and sad at the same time, that book, and it's really, really wonderful. A lot of these books I've written about probably on my Instagram. I may do a blog post where I write about them more, but on my Instagram I've written about a lot of these books. If I write about a book on the grid on my Instagram, it tends to be because I love it. And This Is Going to Hurt is the first book I rated 5 stars in my bullet journal. Next I want to talk about this. This is Wishes Fulfilled by Dr. Wayne W. Dyer. This is a book on manifesting, and I read the first few pages and then forgot about it, and then I decided to listen to the audiobook. I think I'm about halfway through the audiobook, and it's got a lot of good points in it. It's quite interesting, but sometimes I think it's not relatable enough for me. I think as well, it feels like it comes from a very religious standpoint. When I think about manifesting and stuff, I know obviously everyone's got a different word for it, but I tend to think of it as asking for things from the universe, not asking for things from God. And this one feels very godlike. I guess it's just also not modern day enough, and although I'm picking up a lot from it, I don't find the writer that relatable, and a lot of it is kind of quoting the Bible, quoting other people. So I like it. I think I'm picking up some stuff from it, learning a bit. I don't love it, and it's not the most relatable book on manifesting for me as a 27-year-old woman in 2019. The Ruling Knickers by Bryony Gordon. This is what I am currently reading, and I flipping love it. I don't know why it took me so long to get around to reading this. It's been out a long time, so I'm sure everyone's heard of it. But The Ruling Knickers by Bryony Gordon. It says A Decade of Chaos. It's a memoir about Bryony's 20s. It's freaking hilarious. Let's see how far through I am. So I'm on page 135 out of 300, so I've got a while to go. It's hilarious. Bryony is relatable. You can also see why things happened to her, why her decade became full of chaos. It's really funny, really good. There are lessons to learn in it. I'm whizzing through this. I only started it a couple of days ago, and like I said, I'm a very slow reader. I would recommend, so far, everything in it I found funny. Sometimes I find in memoirs, the writer can overwrite. Sometimes there are anecdotes which aren't as funny as maybe they're supposed to be. Not this. Literally every single thing I found funny. It's very good. Bryony is a great writer. Really, really enjoying that. I've been making a conscious effort to read more poetry, so I just thought I'd talk about 2 poetry books which I have been dipping in and out of a lot. So this is my newest poetry book purchase. This is 18 Years by Madison Kahn. I have followed Madison on Instagram for a really long time, and I've enjoyed reading her poems on Instagram, but I've not owned any of her books. I was going to get her newer book, but I thought, no, I'll get this one. I'll start from the beginning, and once I've read this one, I will then purchase the next one, and then I think she's got a new one coming out soon. I really like her style of writing. I think it's very simple, very easy. I like that, especially maybe in this book more so. It's not necessarily perfect. You could see that she's a young writer in it. I'll read you a poem, a short one, just so you can get an idea for the style. Right, this one's called Cliché. I haven't read this yet. This will be the first time I read it, so I don't know whether this is one I like, but you caught my eye when I usually barely glance, and I know it was for a reason, because you don't really believe in chance. And you told me the day you saw me, you noticed there was something different about me too. I hope you remember not to treat like just another girl. One more. Paper Cranes, this one's called. You told me to write down my feelings and share them with you when you wake up, but drawing out these emotions isn't easy because they're pale and indefinite. I cannot distinguish a path to take, whether it's winding or cobblestone or overgrown with trees, that I cannot see the sky. So maybe in the meantime I'll sit in my room and fold paper cranes on rainy days, till the map that illustrates how to carry on makes its way into my muddled hands. They were cute, weren't they? I'm just really enjoying this book. Another poetry book I am enjoying at the moment is Hold Your Own by Kate Tempest. I've had this for a long time, and it's been a while since I looked in it, and I kind of went back in and I was like, oh, forgot this is good. I'll read you one of these. Again, I've not decided what poem this is, I've just opened a page. Learning curve. You taught me what a body's for before I was scared of being stripped completely naked, even in those throes of it. I never quite lost myself, but would watch it from above, never completely moved that I understood what all the fuss was for. Since you, I stare unashamedly at strangers, hold their eyes for seconds at a time, smile like I know what to do if they smiled back, panic when they do. I am faithful to the lessons you have taught me, but they've flooded me with hunger I've not satisfied before. So I find myself breathless in a Brooklyn tranny bar, stunned by a woman who's kissing me like I am you. One more to read in here. What we lose. When I was young, I could speak to animals. These days, I don't know what to say. They used to stiff my ears, but now they smell my fear and walk away. Oh, that's a sad one. I've really been enjoying both of those poetry books. Both quite different styles of writing, but definitely enjoying them. And if you're trying to read more poetry, I would recommend picking them up because they're quite easy reads. The last book I'm going to talk about is not one I've read yet, but one which I recently purchased. After saying I wasn't going to buy any books, I found myself on Amazon ordering this. How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. I have only recently started listening to Elizabeth's How to Fail podcast. I heard her on somebody else's podcast. Can't remember whose. Maybe, possibly Emma Gannon's podcast. I heard her. May not have been Emma Gannon's. But I heard her on a podcast and started listening to her podcast, and then I needed this book. It's just very refreshing to hear people talk about how to fail in a positive sense. I'm very excited to read this, and I'm really enjoying her podcast. I particularly loved How to Fail with Dolly Alderton. I thought that one was great. Right, I think that is done. So that was just a big all-round book chat. Like I said, sorry if that was a bit repetitive. I know I have spoken about some of these books before, but I thought, well, for the people that weren't there before, they might just get a bit of a lowdown there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you've read any of these books or if you have any book recommendations. If you're not subscribed to my channel and enjoy my content, please make sure you subscribe. I definitely want to do more book videos. I'm putting in more effort and more time into reading, so hopefully I can become a bit of a booktuber. Is that the word? I don't know. Right, anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.